Hi everyone, it's Ron here at Simmod Lens. Today I will walk you through the installation process of the Simmod Edmika EF conversion kit for the Canon NFD 100mm f2 lens. First and foremost, we do need to remove the 3 screws that are holding down this silver ring. So the 3 screws you'll find on the side of the barrel here. So with a JIS screwdriver, we want to apply firm pressure and turning it very carefully to make sure that the screws are not stripped. Once the 3 screws are removed, we want to take a pair of tweezers or something sharp to lift up on this ring. And once you pull it up, it should just come loose and we can remove it. Once that is removed, this native mount, basically you turn it clockwise, you hear a click, and it just comes right up. Once that is removed, on all NFD lenses, you'll see that it will reveal 4 screws that we need to remove. The 4 screws are right there. So with a JIS screwdriver, we'll remove the 4 screws and carefully not to strip them by using the correct screwdriver. And we will need these screws to be reused once we install the new mount. There is thread lock or glue on these screws that were applied at the factory some 30-40 years ago, so you do want to take your time and make sure they get removed correctly and carefully. Can't stress enough the importance of having the correct tools to make sure that stripping of the screws does not happen. Once the 4 screws are removed, this locking ring just slides right up. We will remove this gray ring by taking the tab, and it just lifts right up, so this gets removed. Once that is removed, we now can remove the native aperture ring. And sometimes if you turn it, it'll come loose on its own, and the native aperture ring now comes off. Once that comes off, you'll notice that there is some lubricant or some residue or debris from the original mount or aperture ring. So we'll just quickly clean that up before we reinstall our DCG aperture gear. I'll just do a quick cleaning here for demonstration purposes. So once we have all the lubricant and all the residue cleaned off of the lens, let's take a look at what's included in the kit. Here you'll have the DCG dampen controlled gear aperture mover, the brass EF mount, and also the supplied shims if you need to calibrate your infinity. Let's take note of the DCG and this tab here, and the position of the goalpost. By moving the goalpost left to right, we see that the aperture opens and closes. If you move the goalpost too far in a certain direction, you may run into an issue where we call the shark fin trap. where now the goalpost no longer moves and your aperture does not open or close. If that's the case, we need to take something sharp like a tweezer and release the shark fin. This is the shark fin here, the silver shark fin. And we need to push back on this lock here. So pushing it back will release the shark fin. So once it pushes upwards, we take our finger and move the shark fin to go past that trap. We'll fix the issue. Once we've had that resolved, again, let's go back to the goalpost here. This part of the DCG, where this tab here, this post, must fit into these two goalposts. So we will align, and a good reference point is this line here. We will align that to fit inside the goalpost. So I'll show you from the side. And it should just slide right in. Once it's in, let's test it, and we'll turn the aperture left and right. And we notice that it's installed correctly because we now have full aperture control. It's installed correctly, and we push down all the way. There's no gap, and we still have control. From there, let's take our brass EF mount and we will align the holes. Once the holes are aligned, we simply take the 4 screws that we removed earlier and reinstall it on the lens. This particular lens, NFD, has 3 black larger screws and 1 small silver screw. There are some instances where there's only 3 screws instead of 4, and that's how it came from the factory. It doesn't mean that somebody took it apart and threw one out. It just, for some reason, they just decided to use 3 instead of 4. So again, all the screws are installed. We have full aperture control. We'll put a lens cap on the rear. And now let's walk through the process on how to install the simple fit follow focus gear on this lens. We'll take a caliper, we'll reset it to 0, and we'll measure the focus barrel. This focus barrel measures 61.85, so let's just say 62. We will take a 62 millimeter rubber insert, which correlates to a size small aluminum follow focus gear. We'll set the lens to infinity, and we simply slide it on. Once it's slid on, it will take shape and firmly grip the lens. And there we have it, a fully modded Canon NFD 100 f2.